What's up guys, Cardfight here with a brand new deck profile of the GBT-11 Nubatama deck, the Shiranui Domination deck. So this deck has been getting lots of hype since the review of Domination, and I can say that it has definitely lived up to its hype because of the ability Domination, which is actually the upgrade of how Nubatama works. In a way, Nubatama does discard cards from hand, but right now they make you discard cards from hand in a new way, which means they actually take control of your monsters and keep slapping your Vanguard, keep making them betray themselves. So basically you're gonna lose lots of cards just to guard all your allies' attack. So that's pretty ridiculous. If you guys have seen some gameplay where I actually fought against Weiye and actually lost, it couldn't be helped because Nubatama is actually really good at controlling your opponent's hand size. So I'm gonna explain how this deck works and you guys can judge whether you should get this deck. Alright, due to hype, of course, this is one of the most expensive decks, so this took me a while to get, but all credit to my friend Weiye for lending me his Nubatama deck. And he has the signed Nubatama hot stamp, so if I think these are quite rare. There's a chance that you might get a signed Shiranui if you buy a trial deck. I think it's hidden at the last card, so if you're lucky and got a hot stamp, congratulations, because this is very popular among the community right now. So what the main win condition of this deck is to control your opponent's rear guards with the ability Domination and make them attack one another so that your opponent's gonna lose a lot of advantage. So yeah, let's get on the deck profile. First up, we play 3 copies of Shiranui, the trial deck 1. In this deck we actually play 6 grade 3s only because we are actually testing out which Shiranui do you want to play. Both have its pros and cons, and I'll go through them really soon. So this Shiranui is the trial deck. It's from the trial deck. It is the upgrade version of this one. This is one you get from the tactical booster. However, this is the reprint version because Bushu is kind of because you are able to get this card now without going back to buy the tactical booster, which is quite expensive. This comes as a reprint in the brand new set GBT-11, just that the art is different, but nonetheless they have the same skills, and I recommend you picking them up if you're getting this deck. So first up we have 3 copies of Demonic Stealth Dragon Shiranui Oboro. I call it the fishnet dragons. Don't ask me why, because yeah, you won't be able to unsee it. I'm so sorry. So what he does is, at the beginning of a right phase, so it's similar to Luat, the right phase skill, you may choose a card from your opponent's drop zone. If you do, your opponent calls the card to the red circle. So this is important because sometimes if your opponent do not call stuff, like for example you play against Pale Moon, they actually kite all their stuff during their end turn, you can call stuff from the drop zone and make them betray their Vanguard. So yeah, that's one way you could get you ensure that you at least have a target for Domination. And at the end of the turn, you retire that unit. So you're not going to give your opponent a free unit for that game. Oh no, of course, during end of turn, they have to go back to your drop zone. So its ability is whenever you perform strike. So when you strike, you may pay the cost. You do not need to pay any cost. There's no cost. It is so good. So whenever you strike, choose up to one of your opponent's rear guard and dominate it as stand. This is so good. Okay, I'm going to go through what dominate does. So let's say I have a Blaster Blade, a 9k. I dominate this Blaster Blade. It's already at rest. Let's say this is Alfred for some reason. So I dominate Blaster Blade. Blaster Blade will restand, and it will be under my control. And Blaster Blade again has 4k power, so you'll be hitting magic numbers against their own Vanguard. That is just a -1 card of your opponent's hand because your opponent will have to guard that. Otherwise, he's gonna take the damage. So that is actually really good because at no cost you are making your opponent discard a card. So basically, in a way, it just says your opponent discards a card for no count blast and anything. So it's really good. Three copies right now. We are testing it so that you can get a perfect ratio. Alright. So if you want to play 4 copies, it's fine. I will recommend you to play 4 because this guy's actually pretty good. Let's go on to our second one. The second is Demon Stealth Dragon Shiranui. It's just Stealth Dragon Shiranui. It's not Demon Stealth. So what this card does is, whenever you perform Stride, you can counterblast 1 if you do choose up to one of your opponent's rear guards, bind it face up, so you could get rid of some of your intercepts. And your opponent chooses a card from his or her hand and discard it. So basically, make your opponent lose an interceptor and discard 1 card per hand that costs 1 counterblast. So at the end of the turn, your opponent put a card that's send to the bind zone back to his hand. So he's not going to -2, but for that turn, he's going to lose an interceptor. So that's actually pretty good. He just makes opponent minus harder to guard cards, harder to guard, so they can finish your opponent off. His GB2 is when this unit attacks and if the number of cards in your hand is less than opponent, this unit gains was 5k and 1 crit. So it's just there, not really relevant now since that we have so many G units. But yeah, his strike skill is pretty good because you'll be able to drop cards off your opponent's hands. Alright, the great tools we play is... Give me a sec. Right, so 4 copies of Stealth Dragon Furai. I'm sorry because I do not have I need to actually look up their skills. So 4 copies of Stealth Dragon Furai. So what Furai does is a generation break 1 once per turn, rearguard. You can pay the cost of 1 Soul Blast if you do. Select 1 card in your opponent's drop zone, and your opponent call it to any of his or her open rearguard circles. So that's one way you could get your stuff to dominate. So your opponent doesn't have any rearguards and core stuff. During the end of turn, your opponent retires. So it's basically just overall skill. Just that it is Soul Blast 1. Second skill is when this unit attacks, when another unit attacks during your turn, and you have a Vanguard with Shiranui, it gains us additional 2k. So how you use this guy is you have this as a rearguard, you dominate some stuff from your opponent's rearguard, and you attack their own Vanguard. Every time your control unit betrays their opponent's Vanguard, it gains us 2k power. So this deck is able to dominate so much, you gain so much attack power, even before the battle phase begins, you'll be dropping your opponent's hand size by a lot, and you finally have a huge beast of a monster attacking. So this is actually really good because every domination attack you do gives us 2k power, so it stacks actually. Alright, next up we have 4 copies of Stealth Dragon Genkai. I think this is from the trial deck. Yes, this 4 copies of Genkai, he's from the trial deck. This one gives you an advantage that you need. When a dominated unit attacks during your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Shiranui, you may pay the cost of 1 Soul Blast and 1 Counter Blast. If you do draw a card, and this unit gets 2k power. So whenever your opponent gets dominated, you can get a free card into your hand. Very good. 3 copies of Kunai with Chains. Yeah, just our vanilla. Because 10k vanilla is good in the early game, so they can guard early. Pretty important. Now, let's go on to grade 1s. We play 4 copies of... This is a promo. Stealth Dragon Tenrei. He used to be a promo and now he's reprinted as a rare. Really good because it's actually quite hard to get as a promo. But his ability is very interesting. While he's on the rearguard circle, he has a permanent skill continuous. If you have a Shiranui Vanguard, all cards on your opponent with Shiranui gets your opponent's Vanguard name, clan, races, and nations. So it's very important because sometimes if you take control of your opponent's Burning Horn Dragon, you need the Overlord Vanguard, right? Your Shiranui will transform into the Overlord so that you can properly betray their masters. So because you dominate, you take control of the unit. So Burning Horn Dragon will, if it's not Overlord, you won't be able to get a +3k. So now it becomes the Overlord, and yeah, that's one skill. His second skill is when this unit attack hits a Vanguard during a battle or is boosted a unit that attack hits, you may pay the cost of putting him from the field into the soul, and you can make your opponent discard 1 card. So yeah, it's pretty pressurizing. Your opponent most likely gonna guard this because if he's not gonna guard it, he's not guarding this, he's gonna lose a card anyway. So he's gonna guard it for sure. It's a good pressure card. 4 copies of the brand new Perfect Guard. It looks like a Ninja Dragon, Stealth Dragon Utsuroi. I was actually debating whether it's a ninja or is this a dragon. It is a dragon ninja, so both of us were right. So his ability is a Perfect Guard, and his second ability is the From the Drop Zone ability. From the Drop Zone, you have 2 copies in your drop zone. When a dominated unit attack hits a Vanguard during your turn, you may pay the cost. If you do, return this card to your hand. So choose one other. So basically 2 copies in the drop zone, right? Okay, let's say I dominated one. A Blaster Blade attack hits Alfred. You put another Shiranui into your drop zone. From your drop zone, I put bottom of deck, and this one goes back to your hand. So it is something like the Shadow Paladin Luat Perfect Guard, but this time we have our very own one. Domination attack hits, go back to your hand for free. So good. so damn good. This is why you can loop your perfect guards perfectly with this deck. Yep. And finally, 4 copies of Stealth Dragon Tengai. He is very important for the deck because Counter Blast is actually very powerful in this deck. With Counter Blast, you can get so much advantage. So what he does is, during your turn, when a dominated unit attacks, until the end of turn, this unit gets a skill. Put this unit into your soul. At the end of turn, you may pay the cost to do counter charge 1. So basically, what you do is, okay, 1 dominated attacks. Okay, betrayed finish. This guy will go into soul. Yeah. So it just gives you a free counter charge and just a 7k. Counter charge is quite important in this deck. 4 copies of Strike Helpers. This Strike Helpers from the trial deck. He's a Doge one. So basically, you search out Shiranui so that you can get a choice of, depending on what situation you have. Your opponent have huge hand size, you might want to go for this one. Your opponent have more board, you might want to go for this one. Yeah. Right, that is the great ones. Let us go on to the triggers. So triggers, we play 8 crits. This is the crit from the GBT-11. We have one here is a promo. It comes from the promo for a crit pack. So if you guys want to bling out your deck, definitely check out the for crit pack. 8 crits. This crit is a reprint, another reprint from Tactical Booster, the ninja crit. What it does is when your Shiranui attacks, even if it's in stride, you can go to soul and draw 1 card. And Shiranui gains 5k power. For draw triggers, Margo clones. It's from the trial deck, so Nubatama finally got a Margo. 4 copies of this sweet cutie. Basically, it has some effect if you G-Guard into her evolved form. And 1 copy of the starter. Whenever a dominated unit attacks, you can pay the cost of chucking it into the soul. And you can draw 1 card and select one of your other rear guards. It gives 3k power. So whenever perform domination, you can get it into your soul and get 1 free card. Cycle it back. Alright, so let's go on to our G units. 4 copies of Enma Stealth Rogue, Mujin Lord. This is the triple rare you wanna pull. So if you guys are getting packs, you pull this, celebrate. Domination ability, he has 1 sick domination ability. Once per turn, count +1 and choose a face down card at G-Zone with the same name as this unit and turn it face up. So flip this up, face up. Choose the same number of rear guards as the number of face up card in your G-Zone. So late game, these guys are beast and they get +4k power until end of turn. So choose up to the same number of rear guards as the number of face up card in your G-Zone and they gain +4k and dominate all of your opponent chosen unit as stand. So choose any. So basically, you can dominate all of your opponent's units and gain +4k. So whenever they gain +4k, chances are they're gonna hit their Vanguard without boosted. So it is very good because you dominate every single of your opponent's units. This is a very powerful card, and definitely this is one of the cards that in late game devastates your opponent a lot because your opponent will have to like instantly -4. Come think about it, if you dominate like 5 units, 4 units, your opponent's dropping 4 cards. One like 5k, 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 5k. I tell you, that is very painful. It might seem like it's just a count +1 to do 4 lame attacks. 4 lame attacks is 4 cards off your opponent's hands. This is why domination is so powerful. Alright. So Mujin Lord, 4 copies. 4 copies of Enma Stealth Dragon, Mugen Tenbu. Mugen Tenbu is another card that is pretty awesome. This is also dependent on how many G-Zone you have. His ability is count +1 and choose a face down card with the same name as this unit. So flip it up, face up. And then choose one of your opponent's rear guards. So you can only dominate one of your opponent's rear guard, but it gains a 3k power for each face up card in your G-Zone. So if you have like what, 7 cards in your G-Zone, it's gonna gain like 21k and slap your opponents and betray your own opponent's Vanguard. That is very powerful as well. So yeah, you can just basically, once you set up your G-Zone, you can just spam Mujin Lord and Mugen Tenbu, then just finish your opponent off with domination. And let's not forget, this is not the only thing you're going to be dominating. Whenever you perform strike, you'll be dominating once, you'll be dominating twice. That's why this card is actually pretty good. Especially I like how it gains power, so your opponent have to guard for a lot. So your opponent have to prepare perfect guard for 1, this guy, when he's attacking as a Vanguard, or the huge rear guard that's going to slap him in the face. Next up, one copy of this is from the trial deck, Enma Stealth Dragon, Kikogu Tenbu. At the beginning of your battle phase, choose one opponent's rearguard and dominate as stand. So yeah, just simply when you strike into this guy, dominate once. So you should get this in the trial deck. It gives you the taste of the power of domination taste. It's a pretty nice card to introduce you to domination. One copy of GB8, Ricardo Stealth Dragon, Ruko Shinakirakan, very long name. His ability is a GB8. So this is when you kind of run out of strides. He has a very devastating skill. When your opponent unit is placed on the Guardian Circle from the hand, you may counter blast 1 or soul blast 1. So you can either pay soul blast 1 or counter blast 1. If you do, your opponent chooses 2 cards from his or her hand or discard them. So for example, alright, I'm gonna strike and dominate you. I'm gonna strike and dominate. So oh shit, I have to guard for 5k since I've been betrayed. Alright, 5k. So if he's guarding for 5k, he's dropping 1 card from his hand to the Guardian Circle. You can soul blast 1. Your opponent has to discard 2 cards from the hand. That is devastating. This is so damn good with Dominate. Of course, you only play 1 copy because it's a GB8 card. Okay, GB8 we recommend you to play 1 copy. So if you haven't picked this up from your GB8, from your FC, get it now because it's actually quite good in this deck. 1 copy of Sabreeze in case you fight against Gridlock decks. Yeah, that is the G units. The G Guardians we play 5 like this. This is the brand new G Guardian. 2 copies of Ricardo Stealth Dragon, Guho Rankan. He is a very powerful G Guardian. He's a G Guardian that gives you dominate. You hear me right? So basically, during opponent's turn, you can use one of their rearguards to commit suicide. So ability, counter blast 1 and soul blast 1 when this unit is placed on the Guardian Circle. You may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's grade 1 rearguards at the back row, dominate it and move it to your Guardian Circle. So basically your opponent have Blaster Friend Bakao. It's not your friend anymore because it's gonna join me and rebel. So it becomes a 20k shield and your opponent loses the unit. So it's kind of like Kagero. Yup, it's pretty good. Yeah, because you can retire their back rows. Next up, 1 copy of the Fighters Collection Jing Stealth Fiend, Zakihime. Zakihime is when this unit is placed on the Guardian Circle, choose a face down G Guardian in your G zone and face up. Turn it face up. If you do, your opponent chooses a card from hand and he or she may discard it, otherwise she gains plus 20k shield. So it's either opponent discard 1 card from her hand, lose -1, or she becomes a super tank 35k shield. So it's a pretty good G Guardian. I like it because you kind of make your opponent deplete their hand. 1 copy of this. This guy is from the trial deck as well. When this card is placed on the Guardian Circle and you have less hand cards than your opponent, this guy is a 20k shield. So it's a very solid G Guardian. Just there because it's basic, no free cost unit. And 1 copy of a Gleam. Basically, a Gleam got kind of... She has the same ability as a Gleam. When this card is placed on the Guardian Circle, discard 1 card to draw 1 card. Yeah, so cycle your hand. So we play 5 G Guardians because of her. Pretty much that. So I hope you guys enjoy my friend Weiye's deck profile on his Shiranui Domination deck. If you like more deck profiles from GBT-11, be sure to subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Peace out and love you guys. Rawr.